Hi, it's Kim from the Shamrock Quilt Studio, and today we're talking Scrappy. So grab a drink and head on back. We'll get started. And welcome back to the Shamrock Quilt Studio. Hi, thanks for joining us. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite quilts and why I like it so much. This particular quilt, I always love it when I find strings on it. This particular quilt was my first EPP quilt, and it's also the first quilt I ever made in a kind of a scrappy type thought process. It's kind of a grandmother's garden quilt. It uses the Hexies. They're arranged in flowers. They're small flowers as opposed to big flowers. And the pathway here is white instead of a traditional green. And let me tell you about some of the fabrics in this quilt and how I came to get them. Some of them are new fat quarters or scraps of fabrics that I bought specifically to fill in gaps with colors because I wanted this to be a wide-ranging variety of more pastel colors and small dainty designs. Stripes, flowers, polka dots, that kind of thing. Other fabrics in this quilt are very old and they are sentimental, and they were incorporated into this so that it could be a memory quilt in addition to being something to cuddle with. Now, because of that, let me spread this out a bit because I want you to see it all. Because of that, some of the fabrics in here are a blend. They're part poly, part cotton. There's not too many of them, but there are a few, and those tend to be fabrics that came either from decorating in our home in earlier years or fabrics that I used in making clothing for my daughter. For example, this little pink fabric right here is an example of that. I used that to make her an outfit when she was probably 4 or 5 years old. And you can tell by the puffiness of it that it's definitely a blend because it did not shrink up as much as maybe the one next to it. And as I look through these fabrics, there are lots of things that I recall from them. This was some curtains in a home that we had at one time. This is a fabric I used for my granddaughter's baby quilts. And then this one is for one of my grandsons, had the green and had the stripes on it. This is a brand new one. This fabric here, I think that's a new fabric. However, the brightness of the blue background seems to have completely faded away just in 8 years. Now, and this quilt probably does get washed a little more than most of my quilts because it's used. It's my favorite quilt to take a nap under. So let's see what else really quickly. Lots of other fabrics, lots of scraps from quilts that I've made. Like I said, they're all pastels. There's a variety of pinks and yellows, blues, greens. No reds, no oranges, no grays. So just dainty kind of colors, soft and gentle. And then for the backing of this, it has just a plain white, and it has a soft yellow binding to kind of bring it all together. Now, this was an effort to use up some of my scraps. And I know that we all struggle with that challenge. You go out and you buy fabric for a project and you have a little square left, or you have a yard left. And it's really a difficult process to try to determine how you're going to efficiently use that fabric and not let it just languish in your stash, so to speak. So this was an effort to do that, and I enjoyed this greatly. I kept making Hexies, and I needed to make 6 Hexies for every flower, so that we had to take that into consideration, and then something coordinating to go in the middle. And it was an effort to try to mix up that coordinating one, so every time you saw this fabric, you didn't see this one as the center. So lots of pretty little things. And it has washed extremely well. It does, like I said, get a lot of use. It's comfy. It's got the warm and white batting in it. So it's a little heavy, but it's not heavy. It's a nice, even summer weight quilt to snuggle under. You know, when the air conditioning is blowing on you, you just want to cuddle up a little bit. Now, I enjoyed this so much, making this, and I kept making the flowers and flowers until I felt like it was big enough, and then I said, okay, that's enough, we're going to stop. And then I appliqued that irregular border onto a small piece of white fabric to match the path to give it straight edges. I enjoyed this so much, and this used a lot of my pastel fabrics. But what I still had was I had bright fabrics, more darker, more masculine, more general purpose. So I took this concept and swapped it up a little bit. Let me grab the other one. Now this one has a gray background. The backing on that is gray and the binding is gray. This one uses the same Hexies, different fabrics, but a different design as well. And you can see what a difference that makes. Look at all those. As the grandchildren got older, the fabrics became more bright, but still I was able to reach back and pull back in fabrics from years ago and use them. And sometimes there was just a little tiny scrap left. So this was a great project for that, because even if I had a little bit of fabric, I could incorporate it into this. The most difficult thing about this one was trying to get a diamond-shaped product that was varied enough from the one that sat next to it. And there are a few pastels in here, but mostly this is more vivid colors. And what I did was I took 16 Hexies and put them together in this diamond shape. And then I had a path of one of the dark gray as the background to join it all together. This is also a nice one to snuggle up. It's not been washed as much, so it's not quite as cuddly. It's a little stiff even still. It's about 2 years old from the time that it was finished, so it's got a lot of life left in it, and probably in a couple of years it'll be cuddly as well. But both of these were great ways to use up scraps, and they turn into something that's beautiful and also very functional. So if you find yourself with a bunch of scraps, consider doing something like this. I like this better, I think, than large blocks of fabrics just sewn together. That's super quick, and if you need to put something together really quick, that's the way to go. But if you've got the time and you can put the effort into making the smaller pieces with the EPP, I think that'll give you a more pleasing design. And in 2024, we're going to do a new EPP project that I haven't decided if it's going to be Scrappy or if it's going to be something that's curated, but we definitely will be doing another EPP project. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up as usual, and be sure to subscribe And if you've got any ideas for a new EPP project, put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time at the Shamrock Quilt Studio.